Konnichiwa, minasan. Kyo desu. So today I will be reacting to a video by the YouTube channel Asian Boss, and this one is called What's It Like Being a Foreigner in Japan? I'm looking forward to seeing this video. For me, some of their videos are hit or miss because I feel like in some ways they cater more to their foreign audience, and sometimes they can make Japan purposely look bad in a way. But either way, I'm looking forward to seeing this video. So without further ado, ikimashou.
Hey guys, it's Hiroko from Asian Boss. 1 year ago, Japan's Ministry of Justice released the results of the country's first ever survey of foreign residents. The survey asked thousands of foreign residents in Japan about their experiences with discrimination. And the results were quite shocking. Now it's been a year since the survey. Has anything really changed? Well, why don't we ask foreigners living in Tokyo directly?
Of course,
So,
Tokyo.
where are you from and how long have you lived in Japan?
So I'm originally from America, Connecticut. So I've been here about 8 months so far.
I'm from Korea and I lived in Japan about 10 years.
We're from the Philippines and we've been here in Japan for 3 months.
I'm from Fiji. Now I'm going on my 4th year in Japan.
Prior to coming to Japan, what was your perception of Japanese people?
They're really polite and they're quite punctual and they're quite quiet. They're not speak a lot. Yeah.
They're generally kind and they follow the rules well.
You know, Japanese people are so polite, so they'll never tell you outright that you're doing something wrong, but you know you are. So that was definitely difficult.
Challenge when you come here is making sure you're not breaking the social rules. So, you know, like how to use an onsen, how you take off your shoes at the genkan, how low should you bow, when should you apologize, especially when you deal with the language, the level of honorifics you should use. Should you use keigo? Should you be more humble? There's a lot more social rules in Japan than there are in America.
Last year, Japan's Ministry of Justice conducted the first ever survey of foreign residents about their experiences with discrimination. Did you know about this?
I hadn't heard of this. No.
No, I didn't.
Yes, I read about it.
On the internet?
Yes.
What percentage of foreigners do you think experienced public insults or discrimination from the Japanese? 2%?
By guessing, about 30%. I went drinking with friends and we tried to go into this shop and they said, no, only Japanese only.
Wow.
For me, I said, well, if this was America, it would have been a big problem. But here, it's normal.
The answer is actually 33.3%.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go, right?
Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, I believe it. I think it's also quite racially divided. Like, it's not as simple a question as foreigners, but where are the foreigners from? So I think maybe foreigners from European, North America might not experience the same amount of discrimination as foreigners from other countries like Africa or maybe India. So I think that I'd really be curious to know what the numbers are based on race.
Have you ever felt discriminated against or uncomfortable in public spaces because you're a foreigner?
Yeah, I did. I have those some experiences. Told me like you're kind of stinky, like kimchi kusai.
For me, it's always really small things. If you sit on the train, there's an empty seat next to you, maybe the Japanese person will choose to stand instead of sitting next to you, depending on the person. Not all the time, but sometimes.
Does this make you feel sad or something?
A little bit, but again, I can understand that Japan is very homogenous society, so if they see something that's different or a different person, it's normal for them to feel a little uncomfortable.
What about from the Japanese media? How do you think foreigners are portrayed on TV? Did you see anything that might be offensive?
A Japanese comedian painting his face black and imitating a black person, that's sort of the famous example, I guess. You know, if somebody did that in America, it would be a big news story and it would be very offensive.
I think Japanese people are not racist. I think they're just uninformed. They're not informed correctly concerning dark people. Black people, we tend to, in movies, we're the gangsters, we're the thugs, thug life, you know, and the hip hop, and rappers and stuff like that. So one thing that I found out in Japan is they listen to the media a lot.
My American friends have been interviewed in Japanese, and maybe they made a Japanese mistake And they said, oh, sorry, can I do that one more time? And the interviewer said, no, it's more funny when you make a mistake. So perhaps there's an idea of sort of making them look a little silly when they're on TV, sort of exoticizing them a little bit.
In general, what is the work environment like as a foreigner in Japan?
You can meet a lot of people. A lot of people want to be friends with foreigners and practice their English.
Yeah,
I want to practice my Japanese, and so I have that ability to reach out to people.
They don't expect you to follow all the rules, and they don't expect you to know all of the details of, who stands in the front of the elevator or the back of the elevator, or who pours the drink for the boss. So it's just easier as a foreigner.
Foreigner cannot be accepted as a real part of their company. I think that the foreigners just temporary tools for their business. When I hear some story from my foreign friends living in Tokyo, and then they ended up leaving from Tokyo like in 2 or 3 years because they just get fed up with a relationship within their company. So
Why do you think there are discriminations against foreigners in the first place? Do you think Japanese people are even aware of the fact that what they are doing might be discriminatory?
I think that just comes with the fact that Japan is such a homogenous society and just lack of resources to really interact with a lot of foreigners.
Actually, I just found out like calling a Japanese person racist is a big thing. They don't take it very easily. Me and my friends, we went to a restaurant. How they did it was very, there was a lot of discrimination, and then my friend said, "You're racist," and the lady was like almost dying there. It's like, I can't believe you just said that. But everybody knows, what racist is, what discrimination is.
When you are on the receiving end of discrimination, how doesn't that make you feel?
Of course, it makes you feel lonely. I think most people want to feel like they're part of the group and part of society. You wonder, what did you do wrong? And the answer is nothing. You didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
But this person just has their own ideas. So I just try to think, okay, it's their problem. It's not my problem.
I came here because I love Japan, and then to start my new career in Japan, to say them back that I'm just a human being, and I'm not illegal resident in Japan, so do not do this discrimination toward me.
I never thought it would happen. I thought everybody was polite, everybody was, Genki, but I learned the hard way. People pushing me away, people not wanting to sit next to me. It made me feel sad. Japanese people are trying to bring foreigners here, but at the same time, they're trying to kick them away.
Whenever there is a discussion on these types of topics, some Japanese people might see you as complaining, and they might even say things like, if you don't like it here, why don't you just go back to your country?
Yeah.
Have you heard this before?
Yeah, I've heard it a lot.
How do you respond to that?
I just ignore it.
I've never heard that before personally. I've never heard anything like that. I think that if somebody says that they're not willing to talk about a problem, I probably just would not talk to that person anymore.
So, how do you process these experiences compared to discrimination or prejudice you may have experienced in your home country or while traveling elsewhere? Is it any different?
Of course, as a white male in America, I'm not discriminated against anywhere, basically. All of the discrimination that happens is usually by people who look like me.
With discriminations, I grew up in America, so I went through discrimination when I was younger. So when I came here, I thought they did it in such a way, it was not bothering me compared to America, where it's verbal or it's, over here they do it like a ninja. I sort of say, silently,
In America, where I'm from, the discrimination is more historical, but in Japan, the discrimination is more merit-based. So the way I think about it is, let's say you come to Japan, you're not Japanese, but people are discriminating against you. As soon as you show them your meishi, your name card, and maybe you've got good credentials, all the discrimination will stop. So it's all about how you sell yourself here. If you speak Japanese, that's another really good plus. We don't dislike them, we love them for trying, because so many foreigners here, they don't try. It's just a matter of exposure. Once there are more people living here, I don't mean tourists, there are a lot of tourists here, but that's different. I mean, there are people living here who are in the community, then that will change, I think.
There you have it, everybody. Are these answers surprising to you? How have your countries addressed discrimination against foreigners? Let us know in the comments and be sure to subscribe to Asian Boss for more authentic insight into the latest news and cultural trends all over Asia. Thanks for watching and see you next time.
Interesting. I've been to Japan twice in my life, and I was there for pretty decent lengths of time. The first time was 3 weeks, and the second time was a month and 2 weeks, I believe. And I have heard this from many foreigners in Japan saying that because I haven't officially lived in Japan, I really wouldn't know how it's like for foreigners there because I haven't got the chance to experience racism and all those kind of stuff. And of course, I have my own views. My view on foreigners going to any country is that you really have to be prepared for where you're going to. You know, it's not like, for example, America, where because we're the melting pot, you can find a community very similar to you depending on where you go, and you can pretty much adapt pretty easily if you know where to find people who are similar like you. Like if many Latinos come from Latin America and come to America, and they kind of land in Latin communities where they speak Spanish, so it's not too much of an adjustment to survive in America. Sometimes you have a lot of Americans, not Americans, but a lot of foreigners come to America. They never learn English because in the communities they live in, they can survive off their own home language. But either way, I think because Japan is a country that is predominantly homogeneous and there's not many foreigners, Japan has a very distinct view of foreigners, or different people who don't look like them. I always say you have to understand the historical context of the country and understand that like they've been blocked off from the rest of the world for over 250 years, so when you're so used to being around your own people, you may not necessarily want to, or there's not much commonality you have with someone who looks different from you. And I don't think Japan is racist. I just think sometimes they're ignorant, or they just don't know. And especially like one of the guys said, when you get a lot of your views from foreigners from media, you're gonna develop your own view of a group of people based on what you've seen on TV or in movies. I will also take into consideration, for example, that many Japanese people, for example, don't have strong body odor. They don't wear like very heavy cologne or perfume. And because you're a foreigner, you smell different, you look different. If you live in a country where your society doesn't really thrive on heavy smells, and you smell a foreigner who has a very strong scent, you're probably not going to want to sit next to that person. Or, many Japanese people are very polite and they may not try to sit next to you as much as possible. Or some people can just not be used to foreigners. I mean, that happens too. That happens in America, where we have groups of people who are not used to interacting with other groups of people and they feel awkward or weird. It happens everywhere. It's not only Japan. But I'm also interested to know, okay, what do the foreigners that go there, what do they do? If foreigners commit a lot of crimes, if there's a lot of examples of foreigners not obeying social rules, I'm pretty sure many Japanese are gonna have their, they're gonna be very cautious because it's like, okay, this person is not Japanese, he doesn't know my culture, so is he safe? Is he okay? You know what I'm saying? Because it's kind of like the fear of the unknown. We don't know what kind of person you are. That's why if you speak Japanese fluently or you're very well versed in the culture, I'm pretty sure you're gonna have a better time, like I did. Even though I wasn't fluent, I adopted a lot of mannerisms. I tried my best not to act like an American or a Westerner. I tried my best to assimilate, and for that, I had an amazing time. I had many Japanese that treat me like family, and it's really one of the best experiences I've had. And I always say, if you go looking for racism, you will find it, whether it is racism or if it's not racism. When I went to Japan, I wasn't trying to look for, okay, is this Japanese person racist? Did that woman look at me weird because I'm black? Like, I'm saying, I didn't go with that mindset like I'm looking for racism. I went with the mindset that I'm gonna have the best time of my life and do what I can and do my best. As far as like, working at a Japanese company, I'm sure because Japanese are so used to their own Japanese culture, when they see a foreigner here, they don't take them seriously because, they probably, I'm guessing maybe foreigners quit a lot more often than the Japanese do, or, because of how different they are, they don't expect you to really be part of the group. Like, you have to work twice as hard as a foreigner to make it in Japan. I acknowledge that, but at the same time, I would also say that you chose to live in this country, so you have to deal with the pros and the cons of living there. But either way, my point is that I try to look at both sides of the spectrum, because, you know, not everything is one-sided, and you also have to look at other factors or details that may influence why certain people do the things that they do. Because I'm pretty sure not every foreigner that goes to Japan is a upright citizen that does everything they should do right. You know, and at the same time, you know, Japan is a very unique and has a strong cultural identity. So anything that doesn't look similar to that, of course, is gonna have a hard time fitting in. But that's my thoughts. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. So if you guys like the video, please smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. Also hit that bell as well to get notified whenever we post a video. Arigatou gozaimasu. Minasan. 気をつけて。じゃあね。